welcome to the sixth episode of Football Lab with me, Peter Mielczarek, Chris Brookes, and James Spencer. Today we will cover the FA Cup final between Chelsea and Leicester, the Premier League with a focus on our team of the week, Leicester City, as well as the battle for top four. We will also touch on the manager and player of the month for April. Alright guys, should we start off then with the FA Cup final?
Happy. All right, Chris.
Hi. Yeah, cup final. It was a really good game, I thought. Actually, in the first half, it sort of didn't really get going, I thought, but in the second half, it really sort of took hold. And Leicester actually played really well, a lot of good chances, and their goal, it was just an amazing goal by them. And you know, that sort of goal in FA Cup final is not something you see every day, but deserved to win if you ask me.
Yeah, it was a surprising win and brilliant strike from Yuri Tielemans from distance. I think no one expected them. Well, maybe not no one, but it was unlikely that they would win, especially with Chelsea being on a good run, except that lose against Arsenal. But they definitely caused an upset, and I like to see that very much. So I'm happy for Leicester, and it's another. It's the first time they won it, so it's the 41st English team to win the FA Cup.
Yeah, I think it was Leicester went in as underdogs, and everyone thought Chelsea, the way they beat Real Madrid, the way that they beat Manchester City lately in the FA Cup and also in the league, everyone thought that Chelsea were favourites over Leicester, being 8 times winners. But Leicester, credit to them, that they defended strongly throughout the whole game, and Yuri Tielemans' amazing strike. And I also thought that although they nearly equalised with the VAR decision, I think the better team won. So I like it when the underdog wins. So I think it's really good that someone new wins in Magic of the FA Cup.
Yeah. Go on, Chris.
I just sort of felt in the second half, from sort of 45 minutes, they wore them down so much. Leicester wore Chelsea down with just like bombarding their box and so many sort of half chances, and eventually they were almost guaranteed to get a goal, and that they did. But with the Chelsea sort of ghost goal, I thought actually it was a goal. I mean, they say level is onside. I mean, that's about as close to level as you're ever going to get. So I sort of feel like in that situation, maybe it was onside, but you know, maybe 3 years ago that would have been called offside straight away, and there'd have been no confusion or celebration. But now there's that sort of period now where Chelsea are celebrating, I think they've scored, and then actually, you know, they realise they haven't.
I think the foot was offside. I think his foot was offside.
Yeah, he was offside. I watched it, and it's not very much, but it is just a millimeter offside. Ben Chilwell. But credit to Chelsea, I think they defended better. Leicester City one downfall was the defense. Sometimes Chelsea players could easily rip through them and had a couple of chances. But Peter Schmeichel was great in goal. I can't remember who shot it at him, but he just barely punched the ball out of the corner. But that was like really impressive from him.
Yeah.
So
it's Kasper Schmeichel, I think, not Peter Schmeichel there.
Oh yeah, Kasper Schmeichel, yeah. Yeah, the pizza his father is long retired. Yeah, my mistake. Yeah, so definitely Leicester's defensive could have been better, but Chelsea was not lethal at all. They didn't take the chances, and they lost. I think they lost to a better team, which was Leicester that day. Yeah. And also the fans were finally back. Yeah. And you could hear the uproar when the Chelsea's goal was not allowed, and Leicester fans celebrating.
Yeah, it was amazing. Because I'm actually not far from Leicester, and I know a few people who were there, and it's just amazing for them. You know, some people go every week and haven't been in a year, and it's just, you know, it's great for them to see their team win on that occasion.
Yeah, 22,000 fans, and also the highest attendance since lockdown. So really good that getting back to normal. And also this week is when fans are coming back. As of today, we're allowing fans back. So tomorrow, when Leicester play Chelsea, and I think Man United are playing as well tomorrow, they're welcoming fans back.
And it's kind of a coincidence, but Leicester City won, and they are our team of the week for this episode. So we're gonna kind of move towards the upcoming games, which will be Chelsea versus Leicester. Again, they'll face Chelsea, but this time at Stamford Bridge, not Wembley, on Tuesday, tomorrow. How, James? How do you think they will do?
Oh,
Can they repeat the win?
Can I just say, sorry, that I'm not sure if people had heard Gary Lineker's story, but his story was really interesting. As a child, he went into London for the first time with his granddad and his dad, and he went home on the train with Leicester losing. So they'd lost 4 FA Cup finals, and then 5th time lucky. So now Leicester have completed the set now, Premier League, FA Cup.
And six years after winning, or 5 years after winning the Prem.
Yeah, so hopefully, going into Team of the Week. What was your question? Whether they can?
Yeah, because they will face now Chelsea in the next Premier League game tomorrow at Stamford Bridge. Do you think can they cause another upset? Can they win?
I think it's always difficult to have a match 3 or 4 days later in such a short time period, and also mentally, I think it's very difficult for both teams. I think Chelsea will want revenge. They will want to win after what happened. So I would still give them slight favourites. But hopefully Leicester will, although they'll be on a high and it might affect their motivation, they did slip up last year from 3rd to 5th in the, when they weren't in the Champions League places. So I hope that will sharpen their focus and that they'll be able to get at least a win or a draw here. Because if they get 4 points out of 6 from these final 2 games, they get Champions League.
Yeah. And Brendan Rodgers as well defeated his former club Chelsea. He used to work at the start of his career. He used to be at Chelsea, and many Chelsea fans were kind of moaning that he's crap, and now he has the final say.
Mm-hmm. I agree with James. Actually, I think it'd be hard for them now to sort of get Champions League. I mean, the last 2 games of the season now, they got Chelsea away this week, and then last game of the season against Spurs at home. And even though fans were back at the King Power for that game against Spurs, it's not exactly a great atmosphere there. It's not like a cauldron like Anfield is, or like some sort of smaller, more enclosed stadiums like Bramall Lane is. So I think they're going to find it hard, certainly, to win both those games. But, even to get in the Champions League at all, even though they're in 3rd, I think I'd not be too keen. With fans back at Stamford Bridge, I think Chelsea will benefit from that. But also, like James said, sort of revenge element Chelsea want. From the complacency Leicester might get now, and I think, we've beaten them once, we can beat them again. And you can't think about that. You've got to sort of have that by now out of your mind. I've forgotten, move on, back to the Prem now. So it's the mentality that's really going to hinge this game, I think.
It is hard to predict because Leicester have won 2 tough games in a week, beating Manchester United during the week 2-1, and now Chelsea. But this is another tough game. Chelsea, I agree with you both that Chelsea will definitely want have a revenge after being beaten in the FA Cup final, because it was important for them. You could see the upset, how upset they were. So, and Chelsea is still fighting for top 4. This could be a crucial loss for Chelsea. If Chelsea loses the game and Liverpool wins, that means that Chelsea will go down to 5th and Liverpool will be 4th. So, and they have a tougher game in the last match day on Sunday against Tottenham. Tottenham is a team that it's also playing not too good, but they won against Wolves now, and who knows? But Leicester's playing at home in Kickbound Stadium, and it's hard to predict Leicester's game. It's hard for me to predict.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on, James.
You know, Chris, go.
I was going to say, the Spurs, even though they're 5th now and Champions League for them is all but, it's off the table, really. It's not going to happen. The Europa League now is, I think, going to be 5th, 6th and 7th. So they're playing for that still. And if they don't win their last games, then possibly they could end up not in Europe at all. So I'm sure they'll be up for that game, Spurs. And they try to make, more successes since sort of Mourinho left. And I'm not sure if that's going to happen if they're not in Europe at all. I mean, winning a league is their goal and not even being in the Europa League would be sort of awful for them. But yeah, on Leicester, I guess it's going to be a challenge for them in these last sort of 2 games now.
Yeah, go on, James. No, sorry.
Oh, sorry, thanks, Pete. No, I was just going to say that I don't know how it's going to go. Me personally, like I know what my hope is. My hope is that Liverpool and Leicester make the top 4 and that Chelsea finish 5th. And then that way they have to up the stakes for the Champions League final, but they'll have to win the Champions League in order to get Champions League. It was Liverpool are right back in it now that they've got 3 wins in a row, so in the league. But I don't know. It really depends on Leicester. Like, obviously they're on a high after winning the FA Cup. So it really depends on them, how much do they want to play in the Champions League, how much do they want it. They didn't do well in the Europa League, but the season they did finish in the Champions League, they did make Champions League. They got to the quarterfinals and they did well. So I hope that they can make it, but they will need. If I was Brendan Rodgers, I'll park the bus. I'll park the bus and I'll try and get a 0-0 draw or 1-1. Because if they draw that match, I actually fancy them to beat Spurs. Because Spurs aren't, like you said, Pete, Spurs aren't that good. They beat Sheffield United. They're beaten out of sorts Wolves. So I'd actually back Leicester to win on the last day. And I think for Chelsea, they've got Villa on the last day, and Villa are good. Villa are a good team. Liverpool, they're full of confidence now. If they can actually be more prolific at front of goal, then hopefully they can win both those games.
And what do you guys think of Brendan Rodgers? Will he actually stay for another season, or do you think someone will try to snatch him up? Maybe Tottenham will try to snatch him up.
Why would you?
I think he has to stay.
Huh? Sorry?
I think he has to stay, surely.
I think he has to stay as well, but it's like, he's gaining a lot of attention now. The second season where Leicester is doing well, this season they won the FA Cup. It's only going better and better for him. I think he should stay at least one more season. Maybe, hopefully be in Champions League. And then I think he can go on to some other clubs.
But if you think all the clubs he's been at, Swansea, Liverpool and Celtic and Leicester, he's never really had a sort of bad club. Liverpool, he had that season where he came second after Liverpool had like 4 or 5 years of coming sort of 6th, 7th, 5th. Celtic, he's won sort of every trophy there is. Leicester, he's now won the FA Cup and he's now, he might well be in the Champions League. And I think he'll want to build that team more than just what he has done so far. I think he's got that link with the club now. And you saw him with the Odin on Saturday. They embrace each other. It's clear that he's got like a connection with the club now, and he loves the club, and he really wants to get the best for it. It's not just like a personal sort of objective thing where he wants to make a big club. It's like a step up. I think he really does love the club.
Yeah. Brendan Rodgers is a great manager because he picks young players, so his squad is really youthful and full of energy, as you can see. He always gives chances to like Maddison. Of course, they have Vardy, which is probably the dinosaur in the team. But if you look at the squad, they have pretty young squad, and that's what Brendan Rodgers is known for making the team more youthful. And there's more energy. Younger players want to win more because some of them haven't won anything yet. And he was a success with Leicester, clearly. Come on, James.
I was going to say that Brendan Rodgers is, he's got that enthusiasm and that he's got something like a Bill Shankly kind of vibe about him. And I think that at Liverpool he was unlucky that I think they had a terrible season. The last season, I think that he was there. They finished 7th or 8th and got battered on the last day of the season, and then that led a prelude into that season where he got sacked. But I would like to see Rafa Benitez or Brendan Rodgers back at Liverpool. I feel like it's unfinished business, but he really has, like Chris said, a really good answer that he has bought into the philosophy of Leicester. Like when the owner died, that really shocked them. So and it was nice that Kuntop, he embraced him at the final whistle, and it was emotional. Yeah. That's an example of a good owner. We've seen really bad press over the last few weeks about owners. But this was actually, an example of someone about how you can run a club and someone who genuinely has the best interests at heart. And I think that, I agree. I think that Leicester, they've got the experience of Wes Morgan, who won the league with them. And then it was nice and special for Wes Morgan and Kasper Schmeichel to lift the trophy together. They've got Jamie Vardy, so they've got that experience as their backbone. A bit like Liverpool had Gerrard and Carragher, but then they've got those young players like Harvey Barnes, Wesley Fofana, Justin as well, the fullback Justin. They've got some good experience, some good young players there.
Mm-hmm.
And even Tielemans is still very young, so I think they've got some exciting players.
Yeah, I agree with you, Jace, about the owners. It's like all the top 6 teams should look at Leicester's owner and learn from them. That's an inspiration, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
And they've kind of challenged the top 6, haven't they now? So, like, to be third in the league, which they've been virtually all of last season, they were third all of this season. Like, they're clearly a big team. People have to take them seriously. So that was his aim. He became a manager of a team outside the top 6, and now he's challenged the top 6. So hopefully he's happy there. And I wouldn't leave to join Spurs. Like,
no, I wouldn't.
Well-run club.
Okay, I think it's time for us to move to our main bit, the Premier League, and we're going to start with a team that's very close to Jace's heart, Liverpool, in a game against West Brom at Hawthorns. West Brom lost that game 1-2. Can you maybe, James, lead us through this game? What happened?
Okay, so Liverpool fell behind after 15 minutes through Hal Robson-Kanu, and it looked as if it was going to be a situation where they beat Man United, they've got a hangover from that, and they're struggling to beat teams below them, which has been their story all season, and drop points, especially with West Brom in 19th. And then Mo Salah scored, so suddenly Liverpool are back in it, but then they did waste chances before half-time. Roberto Firmino hit the woodwork, and it just looked like it's going to be one of those days where it's going to end 1-1 and Liverpool are going to be frustrated. And then in the last minute, a goalkeeper scored. The goalkeeper scored. So for Alisson to come up for a header and score, and again, like we said with Leicester about the owner passing away and his son taking over, Leicester have gone through all of that trauma. So has Alisson. Alisson lost his father in February, who was 57, and he died from drowning. And, he was really emotional. And that it just showed how much that goal meant to him and how much it meant. And he said after the game to the press, he's not been in touch with the media, but he was thanking Everton fans, Chelsea fans, Man City fans, all the fans of the league that have sympathised with him. And that goal meant so much to him. And he said God put a hand on his head. So just amazing that 90+4 that Liverpool won.
Yeah, I felt like Liverpool deserved to win really. West Brom's goal, I felt it was a bit sort of lucky. It was a bit like Aston Villa on the European Cup. They had one chance and one goal, and that was it really. But the goalkeeper scoring, I mean, it really is amazing. I mean, you often see keepers go up for corners or attacking free kicks at the end of cup games or big league games, but you never really see them score. They're almost just in there as sort of make a bit of a fuss and take a player up who marks them. But on this occasion, he was unmarked. It was a good sort of glancing header. He didn't really have much time to sort of prepare himself because he got into the box and the ball was almost coming in straight away. So it was really impressive if you think about it. And he can't have had any practice on headers at all. I'm sure that's not the sort of thing they do in training with goalkeepers. So it's really got to be a lot of credit to Alisson, really. And if Liverpool do get Champions League now, they'll definitely have a lot of praise for it. I think that'll be key.
Yeah, I agree with you, Chris, but I thought that Liverpool, it wasn't the best Liverpool game though. I think they didn't take the chances. We had 20 shots on a goal attempt, 6 only were on target. And if you look at West Brom, they had 6 off target and 3 on target. And if Liverpool were more lethal and clinical, I think this game could have ended 4-1, 5-1 even. And yeah, it was a brilliant story at the end of the day when Alisson scored, and that makes this game special. But looking at the overall game, I think Liverpool needs to take the chances, because if they were playing some other big opponents like Chelsea, Man United, Man City, that could have cost them the game.
Yeah, I agree completely that they've got to improve in front of goal. Sadio Mane's completely deteriorated. Like he's just not scoring at all. And I like to see Firmino score back-to-back matches, especially after getting 2 against United. So it's been a problem this season, scoring goals for them.
Mhm.
I'll put Alisson up front. Let's put him up front every game.
You know, actually, it's a fun fact for you. Fernando Torres, he started as a goalkeeper when he was a teenager, apparently. So he was a goalkeeper, and then they had no strikers, so they said, "I'm going to play up front," and he played up front, and he was really good. So, you know, the rest is history, as they say. So there you go. Maybe this is Alisson's moment, like Fernando Torres. Maybe now he'll just be a striker.
And
That's it.
And it's his first goal in his career and first Liverpool goalkeeper to score a goal for Liverpool. So history has been made.
In 129
Exactly.
of the club's history.
Mhm. Yeah, the first goal by a keeper in the league since 2013, I think, when it was Begovic for Stoke. So it shows how rare it is. It's only like fifth goal in the 25 years, 20 years of the Premier League scored by a keeper, so it really is rare, doesn't it? Mhm.
Okay, I think we should move on to Newcastle United against Manchester City.
Yeah, this was an amazing game, really. I mean, maybe City, having now obviously, since we were last episode, they've won the league now. So maybe they're getting a bit complacent now and focusing more on the European Cup. But they should have won that game easily, really, but it didn't. And Newcastle had 2 penalties in the end, which you don't often see. City's goals, I thought, were sort of well worked, and they deserved to win, but still, the penalties. First one, I wasn't sure if it was a penalty, but anyhow, it was awarded, and Newcastle scored them both if it was a rebound. The second one, so it was a really good game. The City, I felt, sort of deserved to win, especially through Torres' goals that were.
Yeah, it was brilliant Ferran Torres hat-trick, and especially the first or the second goal when he flicked with his foot. That was a brilliant goal. It just shows why we are champions of the Premier League, why we're in the final of the Champions League. They beat Newcastle for 3, where they have already been crowned champions, and they even put a goalkeeper that has been only had 3 appearances in 10 years. So what do you think about it, James?
Yeah, Ferran Torres hat-trick. So it looks like they might not even need to replace Sergio Aguero, because he will grow into that role. I think they didn't defend well for Newcastle to get 3 goals, and I was hoping Newcastle would get 4-4. That would have been pretty cool, but I think the better team won, like Chris said. And yeah, it just shows their strength in depth, really. It's quite a low total, though. They've only got 83 points, so they can get 89, or they might finish on 86, 87, but it's quite a low total for champions, because most of the time it's 90 plus points, low compared to their totals in recent years, 100 points, 102 points. But credit to them that they like Chris said, they were champions and they still won.
It shows how far the league has come now that 89 is seen as like a low total. Because I mean, if you think when Leicester won the league, I think they got 70 or 83 or something. And 5 or 10 years ago, 89 might be seen as quite a lot. The quality now is so high that, yeah, you're right that it's not a huge total. And, they had 100 points a few seasons ago, and Liverpool came second with 97 2 or 3 years ago. So, yeah, it's not a massive total for now standards.
I'm going to actually kind of disagree with James about the defending. I agree that defenders were sloppy to give those 2 penalties away, but Newcastle's goal, 2 of the goals, up to 3, were from penalties. So, it's an easy goal, really, if you have penalty. But to be fair, the game was pretty much equal in terms of shots. But the possession was absolutely ridiculous. Only 70% for Newcastle. So if you don't have the ball so much and you only make 200 passes, then you cannot win the game, and especially against a team like Manchester City, which is now really preparing only for the most important game for them this season, the Champions League final.
Or the most important game ever, because like PSG, they've become obsessed with the Champions League.
Yeah, and they've done so sort of poorly in it up to now that if they don't win it, I think it'd be seen as a bad thing. Pep and he'll want to win it here in Europe, in England, as well as obviously won it in other countries as well. So I think that'll be almost his last sort of hill to climb as Man City manager.
Yeah, should we move on now to Aston Villa versus Crystal Palace? Villa won that game. No, Villa lost that game, sorry. 3-2 to Roy Hodgson's team. Chris, what can you say about that game?
Yeah, well, I mean, the opener, John McGinn, I thought was a really good goal. And that was just a start, really. So there was a goal from Benteke from Jeffrey Schlupp's ball as really as well for Palace. So it was a game of really good sort of quality. But I felt like a draw might have been a better result. Both teams had sort of fair chances and decent opportunities. So perhaps a draw might have been a fairer sort of result. But there's no doubt that Palace won fair and square. As much as it pains me to say as a Brighton fan, they did win fair and square. So there you go.
Yeah, I think that Crystal Palace deserved to win because in the second half, Aston Villa just lost it, and they didn't even create much chances. And Crystal Palace was pushing, and it was just a matter of time until they scored. And Christian Benteke scoring against his former club, definitely first time. So that was definitely a brilliant feeling for him. And Eze played well with his assists. There was lots of proposed. Crystal Palace deserved to win the game, and even the shots they had more shots on target. So it wasn't a bad game from Villa, but deserved to win for Crystal Palace definitely, especially in the second half.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Tyrick Mitchell as well. Like, wasn't that his debut? Did he score on his debut? So that was
For sure.
Because he said that he blanked out when he scored, so that was a big moment for him. It was his first goal of his career. You know.
Yeah, one talking point. Sorry.
No, that was was left to score. Yeah.
One talking point I thought was El Ghazi's goal, and Ollie Watkins sort of he flicked a header onto him. And some Villa fans were saying it was sort of intentional. Ollie Watkins was trying like a backwards header, sort of over the defender, and I thought it's probably a fluke actually. But anyway, that's it was a talking point where I feel Villa fans are maybe picking Ollie Watkins a bit much. But anyway.
Yeah, I think both teams' defense was crumbled. Really, they were bad. Especially the goal, El Ghazi wasn't marked at all, and he just basically put it in the net. And Crystal Palace has the last two games are difficult. They have to play Arsenal, who's now they have nothing to lose, and they beat Chelsea recently. And at the end they go to Anfield to play Liverpool, and Liverpool are still playing for top four. So it might be that might have been their last win if they don't repair their defense and improve that. And Aston Villa also has some of the two games left against Chelsea and Tottenham as well. So it's going to be tough for them definitely to find more points.
It's weird for both sides, but especially Palace really. They've become a bit like Stoke were a few years ago, where they came up and they've sort of become like a mid-table team. They never seem to really have a chance of going down, and certainly not in contention for Europe. They're sort of in that spot in the middle of the table where fans often think it gets a bit sort of boring there, where you've got derby games and stuff like that. But beyond that, season you really have like a focus point. You're not playing for European places or to stay up. You just sort of feel like it's the same every season. So and perhaps they become a bit boring. But Hodgson's done a good job there, like we said last week, and I'm not sure if it'll be his last job in management, but he certainly done very well there.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's like kind of stuck in limbo a little bit because it's like they're kind of in the mid-table 13th, 14th every season. So it's like they can upset City, they can upset Liverpool, but what are they really playing for kind of thing? Because, it'd be good if they could challenge for Europa League or something. While Aston Villa were, at one point before Jack Grealish got injured, they were kind of 6th, 7th, 8th challenging. So I don't know whether, like you mentioned, I'm not sure whether Hodgson's going to stand down, and then if they can get Eddie Howe, will he take them to the next level? Because he's got potential, but he's still.
He's a great manager.
Yeah, I think Roy Hodgson is actually leaving at the end of the season, and there's like bets who can. Apparently, Frank Lampard is the favorite to be Crystal Palace's new boss next season. So but yeah, as you said, Crystal Palace is a team that always finishes like kind of bottom, not like at the end fighting for relegation, like 14, 15. 12th, and there is no really improvements from them. They need to really improve, like to really progress, you know. But they do have good players like Eze, Abelachi Eze. He's a brilliant player.
Yeah, and Wolves are hard.
Okay, I think we should move on to our last Premier League game, Tottenham versus Wolves. Kind of surprised that Tottenham won that game 2-0, to be fair. But Wolves are in shocking form at the moment.
Yeah, Wolves did play awfully. They only really had one kind of half chance that they screwed up. I suppose actually, yeah, surprisingly, they played okay. And then a couple of good sort of counter-attacks where Harry Kane sort of flipped it over the keeper for I think it was the first goal. So I was surprised really, but you feel like perhaps they're getting to a point now where you don't really have anything to play for. They're expecting Europa League now, especially if Chelsea win Champions League. I think they'll go down to 6th, 7th and 8th in Europa League. So yeah, it's not really a huge amount to play for, but yeah, I think that I was surprised they won. Wolves certainly are in shocking form, and should be lucky that they didn't lose by more. As it could have easily been 4 or 5.
Yeah, like
Go on, Jeff.
sorry. I was going to say that Wolves just seemed out of sorts. Like they don't seem to be playing for anything, which is a shame because they were really challenging the top 4 in recent seasons, like being right up there at the top of the table, and they can beat the big boys. So they're a great side with Nuno Espirito Santo, but they seem to have lost their way a little bit. I think Raul Jimenez, his injury really knocked them for 6. But Spurs, Harry Kane got his 22nd goal of the season, and then Mo Salah equalled that yesterday. So they've both leading the goal scoring charts with 22. So that'll be quite interesting to see who wins the Golden Boot. But really, Spurs are just trying to get Europa League really, and probably it's a bit personal for them to try and finish above Arsenal. So yeah, they just took along.
Yeah, I think Wolves kind of lost the motivation this season. They don't play any interesting football. I don't know if it's time for them to change the manager. Maybe the manager kind of died out, burned out. But in this game, they had 15 shots, but really only one of them should have ended a goal. Fabio Silva's goal at the end, and he missed terribly. It was a terrible miss. And apart from that, Spurs lost in this game. It was one of the better performances from Spurs, and it should be more. I think Harry Kane and Dele Alli at one point both hit the post, and they should have scored that. Yeah, it wasn't a tough game for Tottenham, to be fair. Well done to them. But I also think they should focus right now on rebuilding and focusing on Europa League, trying to win Europa League. They'll probably finish above Arsenal, which is what they really want right now. And try to win Europa League before you can think of Champions League. Try to get further into that competition and don't lose to Dinamo Zagreb and Slavia Prague, teams like that. And apart from that, it was a good game from Tottenham. Yeah. Good game from the manager, who's still pretty fresh in the job.
Yeah, they played well. I'm not sure if Ryan Mason's almost like Solskjaer did when he went to Man United. He was in as sort of temporary manager. He did really well for a bit, and then he was signed on a full-time deal, and then that was it. And he sort of went straight downhill from there. So it doesn't seem likely that he will get a full-time deal, but yeah, perhaps the sort of good form they're in is just from a little bit of a. I think players do get a little bit of a boost when the manager changes. I'm sure in the last days of Mourinho, it was a little bit sort of down in the dumps. We're losing a lot of games. When you get a new manager, it just sort of reinvigorates the team. Suddenly, they feel sort of new energy. So perhaps that's why they're doing a bit better. But depending on who they get in the summer, I guess that will hinge what happens next season.
Yeah, it's really unknown what will happen to Tottenham. Will Harry Kane leave? Will Son leave? What will happen to Bale? Yeah, I think this team needs to rebuild, and if they finish in Europa League, I think they're going to be kind of successful in this season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
It's difficult, I guess, to know what will happen since Pochettino left, I think, struggled really, and he got them to the Champions League final the first time ever. You can't really see whoever comes in sort of doing that again. So the heights they've got to reach now for Daniel Levy, I sort of think it's a good season. It's going to be huge. And even with that, Pochettino got sacked, but like 6 months after the Champions League final, so it was pretty kind of, the standards of that owner are just huge, aren't they? So it's going to be hard for whoever comes in.
Okay, so I think that kind of sums up the Premier League match day 36. But we're going to move on to the top 4 battle because it's still on, even though we know who the champions are. Leicester's third, Chelsea's fourth, Liverpool fifth. And there's only 3 points between Liverpool fifth and Leicester third. And Tottenham West Ham can still manage, even they can manage to get into the Champions League. Everton kind of blew it, but they lost to Sheffield United. So it's like between Liverpool, Tottenham, West Ham, and Chelsea, really, and Leicester. How do you think it will end, guys?
So it's literally now it's between 3 teams now. So 2 will make it, obviously. I'm not sure. Liverpool have won 3 on the bounce, so maybe I'm being a bit biased, but they will certainly fancy their chances. Leicester did blow it last year, so that's going to be on their mind. And Chelsea, they have lost to Arsenal, and then they lost the FA Cup final, so I'm not sure whether all their efforts are on the Champions League final, and then just trying to win that so they win a trophy and also get Champions League football for next year. A lot will come down to tomorrow's game, because Liverpool are blessed that if those 2 weren't playing tomorrow, then those 2 will probably win their last 2 matches, or it's in their hands, and they'd get top 4. So the fact those 2 teams have to take points off each other is a huge deal. So I think a lot will come down to tomorrow's game. I think if Chelsea win, then they'll get Champions League, and I think if Leicester draw, they'll get Champions League. So a lot will come down to
Liverpool should really win their next 2 games. They're playing Burnley away at Turf Moor, and they're playing Crystal Palace at home at the end. So not hard games, to be fair, really. Well, they did struggle with West Brom, to be fair. They struggled with West Brom, so you never know. Burnley is a tough team to play at home as well.
Yeah, there's no easy games, Pete. No easy games. Every game is hard. We know that yesterday because Sheffield United, bottom of the table, beat Carlo Ancelotti's Everton at Goodison Park 1-0. And then Liverpool struggled against Sam Allardyce, who was very salty after the game. Like, why is he so bitter? But he could just go back to the Championship.
Because he's salty because it's his second time he's been relegated from the Premier League.
I thought it was the first time he's been relegated.
You might be even the first. You might be even the first. So.
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, but I think the thing is that you'd expect Leicester in the third and Chelsea fourth and Liverpool fifth. The odds of who's most sort of likely to get into Champions League might be Leicester top and then Chelsea and Liverpool. But you could easily say Liverpool are in the best position now with 2 fairly easy games against sort of lower table teams. Chelsea got Leicester, which is not an easy game for them. We've seen the FA Cup final. Leicester have got Chelsea and Tottenham, so their games are actually really hard. And if they lose either of them, really, they're probably going to struggle to get Champions League. So I think that Liverpool could almost say, I'm not sure if they're favourites, but certainly in the best sort of position, they can almost say, we sit back, do what we can, but it really all hinges on the games at Stamford Bridge and then the King Power.
West Ham as well. They have West Brom and Southampton, teams they can beat. But if you look recently, they drew with Brighton, they lost against Everton, they struggled against Burnley, but they can still have 65 points at the end of the season, and it's unlikely because if Chelsea needs a draw, to be fair, and West Ham's out of the contest. But you never know. That would be a surprise if West Ham couldn't make it so far.
Yeah, I think West Ham are out of it now, really. Yeah. I'm not sure what you think, James, but I think they're kind of gone now, aren't they?
Yeah, I think it is between, I think it's Liverpool and Chelsea and Leicester. Because you can't really kind of jump above that many teams. So I think it is between them now.
I think it's between Chelsea, Liverpool, and Tottenham. Tottenham can still get it, but as well, they're kind of far away with 5 points to Chelsea. Who knows?
Yeah.
It's football. It's football. You can't predict. Chelsea will lose
That's
now.
fine.
Chelsea can lose every single game now, and Tottenham can get in so far. You never know.
But that would have to leave Liverpool as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, Tottenham I sort of feel are out of it as well. But I guess you never know, but I'd have to have a lot of teams lose to get back in, wouldn't they?
Okay, I think we can move on to our last really discussion for this week's episode. The discussion on the manager of the month is Steve Bruce, the Newcastle boss, and Jesse Lingard, player of the month for April. Do you think it's deserved for both of them?
I think, well, a lot of Man United fans were upset that they thought Ole Gunnar Solskjaer should have got manager of the month for getting them to the Europa League final. I personally think Leeds boss Marcelo Bielsa should have got it because they beat Manchester City 2-1. They drew on Liverpool. They, I think they also they beat Spurs 3-1 as well, and they drew with Chelsea 0-0. So they weren't beaten against teams in the top 6. So yeah, I think he should have got the manager of the month. And Jesse Lingard, I'm not really sure who else has played well consistently the last month or so, but he has played well.
To be fair, Newcastle did. It was a crucial month for them because they drew with Tottenham, they beat Burnley, they beat West Ham. And remember, West Ham in April were like really contending for top 4. They drew with Liverpool, so that kind of month. This month saved them from relegation. So it was like a big job from Steve Bruce.
Yeah, I feel like it's deserved a Steve Bruce tour. I feel like only getting them Europa League final. Man United fans were saying that it sort of seems odd to me because it's the Premier League manager of the month, not Europa League manager of the month is on performance in the league, not on in European games. So yeah, done well, Man United, but they're a long way off first place and not going to win the league. So it's sort of their season's sort of over in terms of the league now. So I think it's deserved with Newcastle. Said earlier, against Man City, they've pushed them to 4-3 and scoring 3 goals against that team is not easy. I know it's a second team. They got Scott Carson and Torres and everybody who are not first team players, but still scoring 3 goals against them is really impressive. So it just shows, I think, that he's done really well with that team. It was a tough job as well. I mean, the owner there is not an easy owner to work with. Mike Ashley and Rafa didn't get on at all, as was well reported. And Rafa was really well liked by fans as well. So it was a tough pair of shoes to fill. So he's not an easy job as well. He's linked he's known as like a Sunderland person, and now he's at Newcastle. So I'm sure his trust with sort of Geordies can't have been that good. So yeah, he's climbed a big hill with that job.
What about Jesse Lingard? I think that he was deserved, but I think Kelechi Iheanacho also could have been in the contest because in April he scored in like every single game except for Man City and I think Southampton. But he scored crucial goals against in the FA Cup semi-final. He scored a goal against Southampton, against West Brom, against Crystal Palace, the winner, and even against West Ham. He kind of caused an upset there. He could have caused an upset because they lost that game. But what do you guys think?
It's weird, isn't it? Was it at Man United? I mean, he was all right, but he wasn't seen as the best player on the pitch. So it was almost like he was a small fish in a big pond there. And now he's sort of the size of player sort of fits the club better for West Ham. Perhaps that's benefited him. So I think he can be, proud and feel that he's done well there, and he deserves it.
Sorry, I thought you were talking about Iheanacho at Man City.
Sorry, no.
I said Kelechi Iheanacho and Jesse Lingard.
Yeah, Lingard leaving Man United. Yeah, I didn't realise that he would play as well as he has done. I thought he would do okay at West Ham and get 1 goal, but he's really relished being the main player there. So yeah, well done to him. He's probably played his way into the Euros, especially now there's a 26-man squad with an extra 3. slots, I think he's probably played his way into it.
Yeah, definitely. I think, with the Euros, the squad there is it being a bit sort of bigger is going to help Southgate, but he deserves to go, I think, and there's other players as well that Trent, Alexander-Arnold need to go as well. So perhaps he'll, I'm sure he'll get into the squad, even if he just becomes like a squad player and plays sort of, we have a dead game in the group stages.
Who knows? Maybe just that was the best thing for Jesse Lingard to go to West Ham on loan. Maybe it unlocks his potential, and when he's back at Manchester United, he can flourish and really show his talent there. Hopefully, because he's a good player, I think. Well, I think that's going to be it for this episode. Thank you, everyone, for tuning into this week's episode. Next week, we will sum up the 2020-21 Premier League season, because next Monday it'll all be over. But we also start having a closer look on the Champions League and Europa League finals, because they're going to come up very soon at the end of this month. And our team of the week will be Manchester United, actually, next week, because they're playing in the Europa League final. It's going to be interesting to cover them and all Gunnar Solskjaer's work and Edison Cavani as well. Thank you, guys, and see you next week.